All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing really well, man. I love the fact that you and I get to talk at the end of the week. I get to kind of wrap up all of my discussions. And then, yes, I get to go on a long run because I'm still training for my marathon. So tomorrow is a 16-mile run. That's what I have to look forward to me, a 16-mile run. So the marathon is at the beginning of November. I have never run 16 miles before. So tomorrow will be a first. I ran 14 miles last Friday. That was a first. So yeah, I got a big run ahead of me, but that's what I'm doing the next 24 hours.
Good for you, man. Well, we're all going to be cheering for you. I love it. Uh, I love it. I love it. So let's get right into the show. Now. I want to just let the viewers know, listeners, we're recording this on Thursday. This is Thursday, the 26th of September, 2024. We're recording it for tomorrow, Friday, the 27th. What happens tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow we get our third and final inflation reading reported in September for the August month. It is called PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditure. It is the most important inflation reading. Why? Because it's the one the Fed looks at, both headline and core. But at this point, the number is pretty well known. It's going to be about 0.17 to 0.18 on a month month, expected to be 2.6. Why is it known? Because there's a formula to kind of piece apart CPI and PPI to get the number. So it probably won't be market moving, meaning a surprise, but it is important because it's the Fed's most important metric. So yeah, it's a Friday morning, 5:30 Pacific.
Okay. Tomorrow morning. Just on that thought, do you feel like any surprise? I mean, there's not going to be a surprise. I mean, for the
No,
most part, I mean, do we kind of coast into the end of the year with regard to the Fed and
I think inflation is on a downward trajectory through March or April.
okay.
I do think that summer of next year might surprise people because I think there will be some upticks. And this all has to do with something that's called the base effect. And I'm sure the Fed sees it as well because it's pretty obvious in the charts. But yeah, X a black swan like an oil embargo or World War III or a pandemic. It looks like inflation's on a gradual glide path lower over the next 4, 5, 6 months.
Well, I want to just say thank you from the viewers and listeners that you were a great student and when you were learning all again, what was it called? The base effect?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something new. We're going to add that in. I love it. Let's keep going. Now, you said something this week. I want you to really define it and unpack it on this show. Freeing the middle class. What does that mean?
Well, first off, it's a treat to know that you watch some or all of my content because I think I only brought that up once or twice this week. And let me kind of step back. For the longest time, I've had a mission to create something that outlived me by 50 years, right? I said that on my very first video sitting on my couch in 2018. But the mission was unclear. Like, what does that really mean? Um, so over the last month or so, I've gotten comfortable saying I want to grow the middle class. That has always felt off, right? It just didn't feel right. Um, Over last weekend inside my school community, talking with Simon, the uneducated economist, he talked about, hey, Michael, maybe it's not the middle class you're looking to grow. Maybe it's the investor class you want to grow. So that felt better, but not great because when you talk to people that I'm trying to help and you say things like investor class, a lot of people that I want to help shut down, right? They just don't think they're investors. Like, oh, that's for the rich people. So the investor class was also wrong because if it's turning off the people I'm trying to help, it's not it. But after a conversation with Dion and Matt, I finally figured out the combination. And what I'm trying to do is free the middle class. In general, the middle class has what? They have a job. They're selling hours of their life 1 hour at a time. And when I step back and really try to figure out what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to free them from that. Yeah. I'm trying to free you from the middle class 40-40 life, right? Work 40 hours, 40 years. You can choose to work if you want, but it's the have to. So I am trying to free the middle class from the binds of the rat race, the binds of the 40/40 life. I'm trying to maybe create a new class called the freedom class. Like you have freedom to do what you want. But I think going forward, I am going to not talk about building middle class, because that's not what I want to do, right? I want to grow wealth. I want to help people grow wealth. And I'm going to talk about freeing you from the middle class. So I now have a North Star. I now have something to work on for 40 or 50 years. And hopefully in 70 or 80 years, people are saying that Mike Zuber guy, that one rental at a time thing helped me or my dad or my mom free from the middle class. So I'm starting to get more and more comfortable saying it out loud. So that's what it is, freeing the middle class.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. Getting really clear on the mission. So good. So good. So strong. So let's keep going. So now the Fed, right? We've talked the Fed, that was such a big deal over the last month, the last 6, 7 weeks. There was a lot of Fed speak this week. What does it all mean now? Where are we going?
Yeah. So again, I think we had like 12, maybe 15 Fed speeches this week. And again, if you remember last week, I was like, hey, if they go a quarter, they're concerned. They go 50, they're afraid. So they went 50, they're afraid. So this week was really trying to understand, what are they afraid of? So I think a couple of things came out. First, I think they generally acknowledge they are afraid they're behind the curve and a soft landing is at risk. Right? If they kept rates too high for too long, they just blow right past the soft landing and it's a nasty recession. So I think they're afraid of that. I think they're also afraid of the job markets. I think they have acknowledged that the jobs markets being reported are garbage. They highlighted the 818,000 jobs that disappeared. They highlighted that, you know what, the monthly jobs number, we have to adjust down like 75,000. So I think they see a deteriorating job market. On the other side, you have Michelle Bowman. Why is she important? Well, she was the only dissent. So 17 of 18 voted one way, or I guess it's 11 of 12 voted one way because not everybody votes. She was the lone dissent. So what is she afraid of? She's afraid of sending a note to the market that party time is here, and that irrational exuberance may take hold and we may see inflation reignite. So we've got a pretty clear picture of what each side is afraid of. And now we kind of move forward and see where we end up. I still feel pretty confident, Ty, that we're going to get another 50 basis point cut in November. So we're going to have 100 basis point cut in about a 7-8 week window. If I'm right, if November cut is 50.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But also too, you think that they basically alluded that inaccuracies in the job numbers, that the job numbers are not the job market is not as good as what the numbers appear to be.
Yeah, the fact that Jerome Powell said that out loud should be a damning thing on the folks producing those numbers. I mean, I think it's 11 of the last 12 have been revised down. There was an 818,000 adjustment just last month. Yeah, so I think the Fed's like, dude, we can't. That number we get every month is bogus. We can't count on that. So yeah.
Wow, very, very interesting. So let's keep going. Let's talk about Case-Shiller. Who is Case-Shiller for those that don't know, and what happened this week?
Yeah, Case-Shiller's that monthly report about home prices. I believe he won a Nobel Prize in economics for this done. I believe Shiller won that. But yeah, it's a monthly report. It basically says home prices are up. It's not a number that I look at because it is very, very late. We're at the end of September, and I think these were like July numbers. So I don't put much stock at them in the moment. But as somebody who looks back at prices over years, the numbers are up. The numbers were up in July.
Interesting. Yeah. Doesn't feel like it.
No. I mean, again, yeah, we're in a buyer's market now, and in July was probably still a seller's market. So again, numbers up, but I don't put much stock in them.
Okay. Very interesting. So let's keep going. Let's talk about new home sales. What did you see this week?
Yeah, dude, new home sales. If you remember our talk from last month, new home sales was a blowout number. It was up like 12 or 15%. So there was an expectation this month that the new home numbers would be revised lower for last month. It was like that kind of a massive beat. And lo and behold, the numbers were not revised lower. They were revised up slightly. So new home sales for last month were up and better than expected. This month they were down month on month, but not as much as expected. Again, folks, we're in a buyer's market. We have a nasty election. Nobody is signing up for a mortgage right now. We like you and I are about the same age. You and I are like in the front yard playing with the hose, and we're put our thumb on the hose, and we're holding back all this water pressure. We're going to see what happens in the spring, but right now, buyer's market, reduced demand. It's just where we are, but yeah, it's going to be interesting next year.
Very interesting times. Yeah. In fact, actually for the viewer, I'm going to tease this that I was thinking this too. Now that we get into October, we need to start talking about what's going to come in the new year. So let's keep going. Anything on pending home sales that you want to
Yeah.
add?
So pending home sales. So first off, I called a month or two ago that we were going to see the lowest amount of transactions in existing home sales, and it happened this month, 3.86. So we got that right. One of my leading indicators was the atrocious pending home sales from last month. I think they were down like 5.5%. So there was a lot of expectation that this number would be dirty and ugly as well, negative. And it wasn't. It was slightly positive. So I think what we're doing here is we're just treading water as we go through. We are seeing inventory build. It's just we're putting our thumb on the hose. Marginal demand is building up. No gigantic train wreck coming. But yeah, we got to get through the election. We got to get through some more rate cuts, and we're going to see what the spring selling season's going to be. And it might be a nothing burger, and might be a big deal. We'll see.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's keep going with rates. Refi boom. What happened? What's your take on it this week?
Yeah, something else we got right in the last 5 or 6 weeks is I highlighted that a refinance boom was coming. Refinances this week were up 175% year on year. More importantly, they were up 20% week on week. Think about that. Week on week, up 20%.
Yeah.
I've talked to 3 different mortgage brokers every week. All of them, their phones are ringing off the hook. They're about 60-40 when they look at the refi business, about 60% cash out, 40% rate in term. I do think the mortgage industry could be coming out of their depression, not real estate, but the mortgage industry, because of refis, might be coming out of the depression. Just the transaction volume is building week after week after week.
Very interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you called it and not a surprise, but good confirmation and validation. So let's talk about rates in 2025. What do you see there? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this actually, I want to give credit where credit is due. I always try to do this. I saw a video yesterday from Ryan Pineda talking about what he thinks is in 2025. And the first thing anybody who's calling 2025 real estate, whether you're a agent, broker, investor, educator, is you got to call your interest rate number. And I think a lot of people who don't have an economics background, who don't have the kind of the numbers background, I think they're going to get 2025 wrong. I think there's a lot of people that if you ask them today, thinks that the 30-year mortgage rate for homeowners, for owner occupants, might have a 4 on it sometime next year, right? All they're hearing is the Fed's going to cut. The Fed's going to cut 100, 200, 250, 300. And their brains say mortgage rates have to collapse. And I'm here to tell you that, in my opinion, mortgage rates will not come anywhere close to having a 4 on it. Now, to be clear, I'm talking at par, right? Meaning no points. If you want to pay 2 points, 3 points, heaven forbid, 4 points, you probably can get a 4 next year. You could probably get a 4 this year if you want to pay 4 points. But I'm talking at par, no points. I don't think we have a 4. I will tell you, Ty, I don't even think we go below 5.5 par. My current call for mortgage rates 2025, and some of this is a hope, is we don't even go below 5.75. The number in my mind is like 5.8, but let's give myself a little grace. Let's say 5.75. I think mortgage rates will just go sideways. Now, why is that? Why do I think that? And the novices are wrong. I think it's recency bias. I think a lot of people unknowingly who are calling for rates to have a 4 don't understand that we had 2 years of yield curve inversion. Okay, what the hell does that mean? That means the long end is below the short end. That should not happen. You
Right.
should not be able to borrow 10 years at 3 when you can only borrow it a minute for 4, right? That's an inversion. Right now, we are now de-inverted. And I think what we're seeing with an aggressive Fed cuts on the short end, we're going to see a very steep curve where the long end doesn't move, but the short end collapses.
Yep.
So in short, I see yield curve steepening and I see mortgage rates disappointing, right? If you're planning for mortgage rates to be below 5.5 or below 5 in 2025, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. It's interesting that when you asked that number, I was hoping you would ask me, but I'm thinking 5.25 is the best, 5.5 bouncing around, 30, 40, 50 basis points. Like you said, maybe 5.75, but just bouncing around based on economic news of what happens that month and in the news cycle. So very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Let's finish strong. Let's talk about the opportunities. And then even specifically, I think tie it all together with the Vegas event. I know that I'm excited. So much good momentum going into the new year. Talk about the Vegas event.
Yeah. So the Vegas event for me is what I call coming real, right? We put ticket sales, I think a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. We sold 85 or 86 tickets already, but I really wasn't putting the agenda together until the last couple of days. I'll actually share it with you in a separate video because I got to pull it up, but I'm starting to put together the flow. We're going to have on Saturday and Sunday, both days, I'm going to bring up couples, husband and wives, to talk about their journey, right? I thought Jason and Jennifer led us off last year with just an amazing story of going back through the fun times, right? The emails, the text messages, the jokes, the budget, the strife, all of that. I thought it was so well done by those two that we're going to have 2 couples. We're going to have one kick us off Saturday and another one on Sunday. We're going to have somebody come up that never made more than, 10, 11, 12 bucks an hour working at a movie theater as an usher and talk about how they did that. They created a side hustle being an eBay flipper and over a decade earned financial freedom. We're going to talk about somebody who spent a long time in school, getting a law degree, becoming a practicing attorney, who gave it all up to become a real estate investor and an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about out-of-state investing. We're going to talk about being a lazy landlord. It's not about thousands of units, it's about the leased units. We're going to have a millionaire panel, which you're going to be on, where we're going to have all the millionaires who come to the show and take questions from the audience for 90 minutes. You might not know this, but you have your fans in One Rental at a Time. They're like, I want to go meet Ty. I want to go meet Dion. I want to go take a selfie. So I'm going to have all the millionaires who choose to come out on their own dime up there for 90 minutes, just soaking in the goodness. I mean, you spend an hour with me every week. You deserve time to be celebrated. And we're going to do those things. We're going to do 6 hours of networking, right? We're going to do 2 lunches and 2 dinners. On Saturday, we go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I just posted, we're going to do name badges, right? I just gave you the name badges that went out. I just put them on Instagram and as a thumbnail in YouTube. So this is becoming real. I'm starting to spend more and more money. Oh, one more thing we're going to do is we're going to celebrate the audience.
Yes.
I'm going to call up 5 to 10 people who give back to One Rental at a Time in some way, somehow, consistently give back. And we're going to give them some awards and we're going to celebrate them. And it's it's just going to be a big party. It's going to be a big networking. It's going to be learning. And of course, the biggest thing about my events that's different is if a speaker has an hour, it's 30 minutes presentation story, and then it's 30 minutes of Q&A. We will once again line up with a microphone and allow you to ask your question of that expert. And it's going to be amazing.
I love it, folks. Well, tickets are on sale. You can find a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link in the comment section. If you are watching this on Facebook, I know some people, because I post on Facebook. If you're watching it there, you can go to Eventbrite and you can find one rental at a time. I love it. And not only that, but it's a 3-day weekend in Las Vegas. So a lot of fun. It's off strip. So there's no distractions of the casinos unless you want that. You can, after hours do that. I got to say too, Michael, one of my favorite things about the event was, in fact, the dinners and the lunches, setting and meeting people, the conversations that we're having on those roundtables. Absolutely amazing, of people just giving and sharing and contributing to each other. So absolutely amazing.
It's going to be a blast. I look forward to it. Name badges. I'm putting cushions on the chairs because I got some feedback that the chairs were a little hard. So I'm spending an extra $1,500 to make sure there are cushions. I'm doing everything I can to make it better. And we are going to have a podcast room. So again, like yourself, you're going to come out, you're going to spend thousands of dollars coming. I'm giving you an hour inside the podcast room as a thank you to record some content that I'm going to give you as a thank you. So my millionaires know that I'm giving back as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, go buy your tickets. Michael, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, buddy.